Hey everyone, Curry here bringing you some more Pokemon TCG content, and today, as I'm sure you saw in the thumbnail, we're going to talk about the Loyal 3 deck, which consists of Munkidori EX, Okidogi EX, Fezandipiti EX, and their leader Pecharunt EX, or Pecharunt. Really still not sure how to say it, but this is kind of the pushed archetype for the Shrouded Fable mini set, as it is based around the... Oh goodness, I always forget what this is called. But the first DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And we've got some really interesting cards here. Even though these are all EX Pokemon, we get to start with the Munkidori EX with his Oh No You Don't ability that says if this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, and you have a Pecharunt EX in play, your opponent takes one fewer prize card. Which is really interesting. It effectively turns our 2 prizer into a 1 prizer, and his attack is pretty serviceable. He does 190 damage, and you can't use Dirty Headbutt next turn, which is a downside that we can mitigate with our Pecharunt EX's Subjugating Chains ability, which reads, once during your turn, you can switch one of your bench Dark Pokemon, except any Pecharunt EX, with your active Pokemon, and if you do, the new active Pokemon is poisoned, which in a lot of cases you would think is a downside, but a lot of these cards synergize off of being poisoned. We have the Binding Mochi tool card that reads, while it's attached to a poison Pokemon, that Pokemon's attacks do plus 40 damage, which allows things like Munkidori to go from doing 190 damage, which is just short of knocking out a lot of basic EX or V Pokemon, to instead hitting that 230 mark that lets it knock out almost all of the basic EX and V Pokemon, with exceptions of some Pokemon like Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX. And, as you can see for the next card, we're going to talk about Okidogi EX. And Okidogi is a really interesting card with his massive 250 HP. A lot of times we won't really have access to that full HP pool because he will be poisoned, so it effectively is a 230 HP Pokemon. And Okidogi really kind of doubles down on wanting to be poisoned. With its Chain Crazed attack, it does 130 damage, and if you are poisoned, you do 130 more. So we can do 260 base, then if we have a Binding Mochi attack, we get to do 300 damage, which gets us over the line of knocking out pretty much everything except for the big Stage 2 EXs like Charizard and Dragapult EX in the format. To really kind of keep things flowing, Fezandipiti EX's Flip the Script ability allows us to draw additional cards when any of our Pokemon are knocked out during our opponent's turn. So as long as they don't let the knockouts happen from our own poison condition, we get to draw 3 extra cards and really just try to churn through things and keep things going. We've got Morpeko in the deck as a nice pivot that we can always push up with the Subjugating Chains if we don't want our active poison for any reason. And it also kind of fixes things if anyone ever tries to boss stall us. We do have a free retreater that we can freely pivot to at any time. This combos pretty well with the Tatsugiris. It's tracked customers' ability to search for supporters from our deck. And a lot of these things, for pretty much everything in the deck is a support Pokemon that just kind of serves to allow us to fluidly switch in our Dark attackers and Dark Patch to them while they're on the bench, Janine's Secret Art to them if they're active and we can't poison them with Pecharunt for some reason, and just kind of let everything go together. We're running a really high supporter count to really take advantage of that Tatsugiri combo that we've got with all of our pivots. So Janine allows us to accelerate energy. Research just lets us churn through the deck. Iono serves as a disruption card as well as a good early draw supporter, and Boss is just an extremely strong card. There's an argument you can make for probably cutting a Boss for a counter catcher, just to have a means of gusting on a turn where you can't necessarily afford to use your supporter to do so. But I went with a higher boss count for the purposes of this video, just to really see what we could do to try to have bosses often as possible. Other than that, we really kept things streamlined, super consistent. 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Dark Patch, and 4 Trekking Shoes. Night Stretcher is a nice card here in that it serves as both Pokemon and energy recovery. This is not really a deck that needs a super rod per se, but energy retrieval is also just kind of meh most of the time, so I like the flexibility in Night Stretcher. Prime Catcher is a nice A-spec. I've seen some other players utilize things like Scoop Up Cyclone, which could serve to kind of unclog your bench while also really being a pivot. It's an interesting idea. The non-supporter Gust, again, like I mentioned previously, is also pretty good. So, with that being said, there's our deck list for the video, and let's get into some gameplay. And here we go, getting some gameplay in with the Loyal 3 deck pushed in this new Shrouded Fable expansion. And we've got, a fairly decent opening hand. Our opponent is elected to go first, which not really surprising. A lot of decks like to go first in this format. And it looks like we're up against some sort of Stage 2 deck. Fancy, I guess maybe it's Dragapult. Oh, never mind. Looks like it is a Regidrago deck, and we might be able to win this turn. Let's see. We Nest Ball for Greninja. Conceal cards. Play Pecharunt. Retreat into Pecharunt. Dark Patch to Morpeko. Attach Morpeko. And Subjugating Chains to bring Morpeko back active. We get to use that Super Primo Energizer Wheel and take a knockout. Cool. Well, that's a non-game, so let's queue up another one, why don't we? And we're back with hopefully a real game this time. I'm going to choose to start with Mew just because I want to have Munkidori on the bench to be able to hopefully Dark Patch to it. Got a relatively decent opening hand here. Maybe able to get a another Dark Pokemon down to Janine too, hopefully, before we can use our Squawkabilly, and we're up against Blissey. Interesting deck choice from our opponent here. Oh no, another Attach Pass. Oh, Heavy Ball. 3 Research. Wow. Okay, Greninja. Conceal cards. Okay. That's our Pecharunt. Attach return to Munkidori. Use Janine. And now we're just digging for a Dark Patch to win the game. So let's make our odds as good as possible. Bench Squawk. Queue up Restart. Draw 2. We're going to discard these cards anyway, so might as well Ultra Ball. Go ahead and get... Let's take our extra Pecharunt here, just to discard it. We'll go all in on this turn. Not necessary, but when it works, it works. We Dark Patch to Munkidori. Can even retreat into it. We did have the option to Subjugating Chains to push it active, attach our Mochi, and we could Dirty Habit for 230, but this is all we need to do to win the game. And again, we ended the first turn of this game with 4 energy on board, attacking on turn 1, going second. There's a lot of pressure that can come out very quickly with this deck. I'll try one more time, see if we can't get a full-length game in. And we're here with game 3 with our Loyal 3 deck. We actually elected to let our opponent go first this game. You know, at this point I've just become accustomed to these turn 1 attacks, and I'm hoping to get another one. And it's interesting. Still kind of trying to feel things out with this deck. Not necessarily sure if that's the correct thing to do, but it looks like we are up against either a straight Reggie deck or maybe, yep, wow, interesting. This actually could be incredibly difficult. Or we'll just roll over them. It's hard to say. The real interesting thing is that for a lot of these Reggies, we don't actually have to poison our Okidogi, but he's weak to fighting, so Regirock can actually one-hit KO us. So let's see what we can do. I think I actually want to Pokestop first here. I would like to use these Dark Patches if at all possible. Nope, don't want that Iono. I want a ball card. Ball card, please. Cool. It was a little messy. There's probably a better way to get there, but we'll take it. Yeah, so like I said, both Munkidori and Okidogi are actually weak to fighting here. Makes things very awkward for us. But let's go ahead and queue up Okidogi for now. Dark Patch to him. Wish we could play the second one. Knowing that it's going to the bottom of the deck is a little unfortunate. Giving our opponent +2 cards is also pretty unfortunate. We get to Squawk. We do get to feed that extra dark to our discard pile with a Squawk and Seize here. Cool. We hit our last 2 Dark Patch as well. Neat. I do think we want to go ahead and Nest Ball. Let's grab Greninja. Feed another Dark to our discard pile. Give us a couple extra cards. We can Ultra Ball something away. Not exactly things we want to Ultra Ball away, though. Maybe we'll draw something we want to Ultra Ball next turn. Let's just take our Knockout, get a prize card, get +1 card. It's an interesting concept. Regis are something that people often try to make work when new sets come out, and we got a relatively good card for them in the form of Night Stretcher. So let's see if they can assemble Exodia and just have their board full of Regis this turn. This is enemy number 1 here. And hopefully this guy does not see the light of day. Having one hit the discard pile is great for us. They do have the Super Rod to put it back in the deck, though. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay, cool. And there's the Drago. Now we're going to just try to make things as difficult as possible for our opponent. So we will go ahead and conceal cards first. Get our nice 1 prize guy down. Let's Pokestop, see if we can't find some item cards here. Shoes are good. 2 energy. We're not going to need the Mochi this game. Do another shoes. We'll actually take that dark. We can Dark Patch to Munkidori. Attach return to Munkidori. And I think we just want to KO the Regirock here, since that is the thing that our opponent wants to be attacking with, and nothing else on their bench is really a threat for us. Janine's a nice take. Being able to kind of expedite some energy out onto our board is going to be really good for us on a future turn. Unfortunately, our opponent has another Regirock. They are down 2 switch cards already. And they do also still only have 1 fighting. But they're turning through their deck at a decent rate. And there's a Vessel and Counter Catcher. So we could just see a nice KO on our Squawkabilly this turn by this Regidrago, let our opponent catch up. At which point, I guess we're going to just continue to chase the Regirock. Although at the same time, we don't want our opponent to have this energy on board. But that being a gift energy makes things a little bit less desirable for us to knock out this Regidrago. See, I'd like to attack with Munkidori here, but I also feel like we really need to get rid of the Regirock, so let's go ahead and just boss the Regirock up. I'm assuming our opponent's ace peg of choice is going to be Legacy Energy here. And we'll just take a nice Chain Craze knockout. Wanted to see what the second energy they took off the vessel was. But they took nothing. Interesting. I guess they just used that to get the gift energy in their discard pile. Oh, goodness. Okay. Iono Lo's a little unfortunate. We're not overly bothered by it, though. Our hand wasn't really anything special at that point. And if our opponent doesn't have access to a second fighting energy, they can't even knock us out this turn. But it looks like they must have it in their hand then. Oh, no, they don't. Wow. And unfortunately, this has kind of been the downfall for Regis in a lot of formats. It's very difficult to always have the cards you need in the right circumstances, especially when we lost a lot of the special energy cards that made the deck better. Let's Janine first to thin the energy out of our deck because we don't want to draw them. Worth noting that we do only have one more left in deck, so this is probably going to be the last concealed cards of the game. And then we can put more pressure on our opponent again. We take this Regirock out once again. While also only presenting a one prizer for our opponent. And let's just thin some more cards out of our deck with the Pokestop. Iono would have been useless for us. Ultra Ball's fine. We can just discard it with the other Ultra Ball. We can get Mew out, actually, next turn, or Fezandipiti, depending on what our opponent does. And we just make the slow march towards 6 prizes. Okay. Yeah, our opponent thinning cards out of their hands a little unfortunate for us. But at the same time, they're really probably running out of search cards. Legacy Energy is not ideal either. But now we're going to put them in a position where they're down 2 Gust. They do still have to take 2 knockouts here. And we put them in a position where they aren't really going to have the bench to work with, since they're going to have to refill a Drago and a Regirock if they want to use Ancient Wisdom. With no energy on board, it's going to become more and more difficult for that to happen. So let's restart up to 3. Flip the script up to 6. We can discard Tatsugiri and a research because we can always attach the Mochi just to decrease our hand size. Could take a risk here. We could boss for a prize and then hope that we take the boss off of our last prize. Otherwise, we're just kind of doing nothing this turn. But I think doing nothing is okay in this instance. Again, we're still putting pressure on our opponent. They have to do the work here. And I'm not really bothered if this Munkidori takes damage. Okay, there's the Drago. We still need to see a Super Rod if they're going to get a Regirock back. Okay, no supporters left or no worthwhile ones. I would assume no. They may have a penny, I guess, but this looks relatively equivalent to what their total supporter count would be. Our opponent's just trying to figure out what they're going to do here. Okay. The Sonar is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, though. I honestly don't even know what you would take back here. Because you probably need a Super Rod, but you also need a Gust card if you really want to win the game. And they took Crisis Punch. Interesting. Getting that energy was a little weird. I guess we know we can hit Dark Patch. I just want to thin all the cards out of our deck here. I want to hit this boss. If possible, we do also have a Stretcher. So hopefully we restart first to hope to hit boss. Of course we don't. It's unfortunate. So we just Dark Patch to Munkidori. Subjugating Chains to promote our other Munkidori. And I think we just use a Dirty Headbutt. We go down to our last prize, 50-50 shot at a boss here. Nope. But we can thin out most of our hand to, I believe, guarantee that we get the boss next turn. Or very nearly guarantee it. I'm really just not sure why Crisis Punch was the move for our opponent. I guess if you have another counter catcher in your deck, maybe you can do something here. You would have to research into Super Rod. Okay. Sure. We'll just give you the other Munkidori. Not a big deal. So you Dragon's Horde now. Okay, you get the Super Rod first. Nice, nice. I mean, I guess if they've got another counter catcher, there's nothing we can do. But they do still have to find all of those Reggies. Pretty good odds, but needs to be said. Okay, there's one. Oh, wow, they hit their last Nest Ball too. Sick. But do they have a gust? Oh, wow, they hit both of them. Okay. Oh. Now I'm wondering, did our opponent have another gust in those last two cards? But I guess we'll never know. And there's the boss. But we can just Dirty Headbutt. Legacy Energy only gets to trigger once per game, so we get to take our prize card off of this knockout. And there you have it. Our deck is capable of knocking out more than just a thing on the first turn. And there you have it. That finishes the gameplay for our Loyal 3 deck video. If you have any comments about the list, feel free to leave them down below and let's have a discussion. Or hit us up in our Discord. Link for that will be down in the description. And while you're down there, consider giving the video a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. We post content regularly for Pokemon TCG as well as Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.